Classic TV fans, Rick 9G here. This is the last video of my second annual Christmas special. So I want to thank you, all of you, for supporting these videos. We're going to get right back into the normal content, so thank you so much. I want to continue where I left off. We're talking about home improvement. We are categorizing every single Christmas episode from season 1 through 8. In the previous video, I covered seasons 1, 2, 3, and 4 Christmas episodes. I'll leave a link in the description below for you to watch that if you haven't seen it. But in this video, I'm going to discuss seasons 5, 6, 7, and 8. If you were to ask me, Rick, what do you choose, the first half of Home Improvement Christmas episodes or the second half? I would definitely say the first half. Well, this is my least favorite, that is these last seasons. There are some gems here. There are some really hilarious, genuine, funny moments that weren't covered. So there is new, fresh content here from the Home Improvement television show, and I want to cover a lot of that for you. So let's begin with season 5, episode 12, "'Twas the Flight Before Christmas." Now, this is a great one in my opinion, probably my favorite of the season. I think season 5 and season 7 kind of compete with itself with which has the best Christmas episode of the second half of Home Improvement. Hope all that makes sense. And we begin with Tool Time, where Tim and Al are wearing these suits that are able to protect you from getting electrocuted. They're good for putting up lighting and different things like that. So you know, they begin with the jokes, the Christmas jokes of this is something that Tim could wear so he doesn't get electrocuted. But Tim decides to put 500-watt light bulbs on his tree, and his goal is still to continuously beat Doc Johnson. We learned from season 1 through 4, the Christmas episodes, that Doc Johnson is the nemesis, the arch nemesis of Tim Taylor in regards to Christmas tree decorating. He's an 80-year-old proctologist who is a really good, I guess, Christmas decorator, and Tim is trying to outsmart him, outbeat him every single year. Now, what Al and Tim have to do this year is a little different. They actually won't be with their families right during Christmas time, but they'll come right back the same day. They're taking a flight to a small town, Kinross, to be the head of an elf parade. So it's both Tim and Al, of course, promoting Tool Time and so forth. And there's a lot of different things that happen in this episode. Al makes kind of a forefront character decision in which he has a girlfriend, I believe a fiance, or at least a girlfriend. No, it's a girlfriend at this time. Later becomes his fiance. But at least in this episode, he's kind of trying to split himself between giving his attention to his mom, that is Al's mom, and his girlfriend. And his beeper constantly goes off, and that's his mom telling him, hey, you want to come over, Al? Hey, I want to hang out with you. And Al's girlfriend wants nothing to do with that. Because there's a snowstorm, the flight to Kinross is diverted to a small town, Alpena, and they get snowed in the airport. It's a really small airport, and it's pretty funny because we have the actor who you may know, Tom Poston. And he's pretty funny. He's seen in many different shows and so forth, even in Family Matters. He appeared in Get Smart and many, many other TV shows. He has that kind of sarcastic, dry humor, which does very, very well in this episode. And it's very reminiscent of the I Love Lucy episode, Marriage License, where they go into the small town to get married. And the guy behind the counter is everything. He's the bellhop. He's the sheriff. He is the mayor, or basically he's like a man of many hats. He's not the mayor, that's his wife, but basically he has all these hats. Well, here it's kind of the same way. The small terminal in Alpena at the airport, this guy is everything. He's the head of the bookstore, he's the head of the terminal, he's even the head of the Better Business Bureau. It's kind of all these jokes in one with the signs. So he flips over the signs, and it's really great. It's really well done. It changes up Christmas, and they can't be home for Christmas. That is Tim and Al, and they're complaining and they're whining. And the kids now, that is Randy, Brad, and Mark, they're decorating the tree. And they're decorating the whole home for the Christmas contest. And even Brad, actually, the oldest boy, he's the one who wears that suit from the beginning so he doesn't get electrocuted. So it's kind of funny, and they're kind of using Tim's instructions on how to decorate the home, and it's great. Now, they're making their way back in the plane from the storm, but they have to be diverted again because the storm is really bad. But the kids, that is Tim's kids, they light up the house, and the lights are so bright that it allows the plane to land. It is a pretty funny, silly moment, but the kids actually win the lighting contest. You see the trophy in the home, and they say, I think Dad has been keeping us back for so long. It's such a great episode. So moving on to season 6, episode 12. This one is called No Place Like Home. It's probably my least favorite Christmas episode ever. And the reason is because Christmas is really downplayed in this episode. I don't know the reasons why, or why, production maybe had something to do with that, and maybe there were internal decisions. They do mention it in the beginning that Tim and Al are in Tim's house, and they're doing some chimney sweeping for tool time, and they're covering how this would be done. But the main part of the story is the closing down or the selling of Tim's mom's home. This is Tim's childhood home that he and his brothers grew up in. Tim's mom was a single mom because Tim's dad died when they were very young, and so they only got to see him or live with him for a little bit until he passed away, and there's all the memories in the home. Now she's moving closer to everyone, that is to Tim and his family, closer to Detroit. The new owners, unfortunately, are going to seriously change and damage the home. They're going to take away the stairwell, they're going to take away the mantle. They're going to basically change the entire house and remodel it to where it will be unrecognizable. And the Taylor boys, or the brothers, that is Tim's brothers, they're upset about this. They don't want this. It's a moderately funny, but it's a mostly sentimental episode, talking with Tim's mom, and even some flashbacks to when Tim was younger and with his dad, which is kind of nice. It was great. It was like a black and white flashback. And what I really noticed, the actor they picked for Tim's dad, his voice was very similar to Tim Allen's voice. Like, casting was really good here, and my hat's off to them. And they even eat on the floor, sitting on the floor as a family, which is nice and touching. But there's no like Christmas carols, there's no real Santa, there's nothing like that. They took all the cliche stuff away, and maybe some people may like that. For me, no big Christmas lighting contest thing going on. I don't know if they took a break from that or what. But they each decide, the brothers, to take a piece of the home with them. That is, Tim is going to take the banister of the stairs and install it in his home, as well as the mantle. And the other brothers will take the toilet and so forth. They said they had memories with the toilet. And so, as I said, it's my least favorite episode, not too great, but it is part of season 6. Now we're going to season 7. This is episode 11. It's called Bright Christmas. Now remember, the show is winding down. This is the second to last season of Home Improvement. So at this point, they've pretty much done everything, right? They've done the big Christmas tree lighting thing. The kids won the contest back in season 5, and they took a break in season 6, and now in season 7, they just got to one-up everything, right? And that's what they did. Tim proclaims that this is going to be the most exciting lighting display he has ever done. But unfortunately, the people who are judging the contest, they said that it's going to be regulated now, and there's even a Tim Taylor clause in which they're trying to tone down everything. They're trying to tone down so that they don't use so much electricity and become efficient, and Tim is not funny with that, or Tim is not on board with that. But he continues with his shenanigans. You see him push a deer with antlers across the... It's almost like to what we can harken back in season 1 and 2 and 3 and so forth. It's what we really love from Home Improvement. Now, Jill's mom is coming again. Remember, she came, I believe, in season 4 with her husband, but this time she's a widow. We learned throughout the course of the series, we're in season 7, that Jill recently lost her father, and so she's coming by herself. But no, she's actually bringing a friend. She's been dating someone, and there's a little bit of chaos here. Now, Tim does and continues with his great jokes. He talks about Frankenstein. He's one of the wise men, and he's bringing frankincense. And so it's kind of a funny joke. The audience really laughs, and it's, again, visual comedy. It's what we remember that we absolutely love. He even sneaks car part ornaments on the tree, like mufflers and spark plugs and things like that, which adds to the comedy. And Jill's mom inviting a male friend is kind of her boyfriend. And Tim gets along with him so well. He even helps Tim to come up with a plan to get more power on the actual roof or in the decorations without draining more power. And so Tim loves him. He says, "I like him better than your dad, Jill," basically. And Jill gets really offended and sentimental here because she thinks that everyone has forgotten about her father. And again, I like it because they really balance the sadness of Jill with humor. So it doesn't become sad long enough where Tim comes with his humor. He even brings a partridge in a pear tree, where you literally see a guy from the Partridge Family in a pear tree. And again, it's just Tim shenanigans that we love, and it's cheesy, but it's so great. It just works so well. There's even a Santa roller coaster which goes through Wilson's backyard and Tim's yard, and it's a really crazy lighting display. It's, again, a very happy episode, and Jill kind of comes to the realization that she kind of has to move on from not believing that this man is not replacing her father, but just adding to her life, and everyone's getting along with him, and it's kind of a bittersweet episode. And finally, the last season of Home Improvement is season 8. The episode is number 11. It's called Home for the Holidays. Now, because we're only covering the Christmas episodes, a lot of story happens in between, right, these seasons. So I'm going through each episode, but there's 20 or 30 episodes I'm skipping here. And throughout the course of the story, the middle son, Randy, leaves the Costa Rica to go on a kind of a missionary trip with his girlfriend and help the poor over there. And so he's been gone for some time, but he decides to come home for the holidays, which is the title of the actual episode. Now, they start Tool Time, Tim's show, live from Al's roof. Now, Al is renting this home from Tim and Jill. They own this house, and Al is now in the neighborhood, and so he's participating in the Christmas contest. He is basically going to be a competitor of Tim and also Doc Johnson, and he's in the neighborhood. He's in the contest to hopefully win as well. Now, Al begins by bringing a huge, giant, inflatable Santa to his roof. And he has another girlfriend, Trudy, and she's helping him, and she's rich in the storyline. So she, I believe, spends over $10,000 just on decorations, and I mean, Tim says he can't even compete with that. And so the Borland Santa is toast. A lot of shenanigans here. The wise men, Tim has a wise man with harpoon guns that he uses to try to sabotage Al and letting him not win in the contest, which is a funny plot line, of course. Now, as I mentioned, Randy's returning from Costa Rica, and he's seeing that everything is different at home. He's seeing that the oldest and youngest brother, Mark and Brad, are getting along really well, which wasn't common. He's seeing that his nieces, the twins, are grown up, and they moved in to the home along with their dad, who's now separated, so that is their uncle, Marty. And they see that the whole vibe is different. He even sees that they don't really even vibe too well with him. And so much has changed that he almost feels like this is not home. Now, there's the usual shenanigans that Randy comes home to, and he feels left out, though. He feels that time has moved forward and he has stayed the same. He almost thought things wouldn't change in Costa Rica, but when he came back, he's like, wow, how much has changed. This is totally different for me. Now, Tim falls off the roof, and that is a staple to the course of the series, that happens so much. And then he mentions, well, I guess some things don't really change. Now, you see Al and Trudy dressed as Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus. They're stuck on the roof, and because they're part of the lighting display without telling anyone. And even Tim and his family admit, well, I guess Al won this one, because I mean, those are really realistic animatronics. Well, no, it was Al and Trudy, and because it's so cold, they get stuck on the roof, and it's just like seasons past. The shenanigans continue. Fortunately, it's the last Christmas episode of Home Improvement. If you've looked at all of them, you can probably decide which one is your favorite. I think season 8 was pretty good as well. It was a little weird because the whole dynamics of the show by this time changed. You know, Randy was out, the boys were older, and they were bringing other characters like Al's girlfriend into it, and less of other characters that we knew and loved who had moved on. Even K&B construction boys weren't there. So the whole mood had changed. It wasn't what it was before, and I think that's why Tim Allen decided to end the show, because he thought that if you continue going, it would just ruin the show. It was already kind of on its way there. Season 8 was pretty good, but it doesn't compare to, 3 and 4 and the Golden Gems and 1 and 2 and so forth. So I want to know your thoughts. Do you have a favorite out of all of these, and have you seen these episodes? Thank you so much for supporting my Christmas special. I had so much fun doing it. It's great to get back to the new content, kind of give the Christmas stuff a break for now. I am so appreciative for all you've done for me, getting me to 146,000 subscribers. That's thanks to every single one of you who've supported me. We'll see you all next time. Thanks so much for supporting, and most importantly, be hopeful. Thank you so much to my supporters, especially my Diamond tier patrons: Vito L, Sally N, Ricky, Kevin K, Gerard D, David D, and Citizen Kane 359. If you want your name to be heard or put on this list, make sure to check out the Patreon link in the description. Thank you so much.